Hey, my name is Yolanda, and welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. Tune in each week as I speak frankly about life experiences from my perspective and offer you a bit of unsolicited advice. Let's take a little time to laugh, to think, and to cry as we tackle some serious topics and some not so serious topics. Be sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Hey, welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. My name is Yolanda. Thank you for tuning into my show for another week and joining me for another episode. How's everyone doing? I hope you all are doing fine because right now it is a time in the land of the living and the dead. And I just mean there's a lot going on. As we speak, my precious little baby, he's not a baby, he's my son that's a teenager, he's 16, but he's not feeling well. So it's not typical. He is usually like me, hardly ever gets sick. He never misses a day of school. And he just said he didn't feel well. And I'm one of those parents like, okay, your head hurts. Let's take a Tylenol. You're going to school. Oh, okay, you have a sore throat. Let's get you some what you call them, the cough drops or whatever, sore throat lodges or whatever you call it. And I know it's not lodges. It's not a hotel, but I can't say the word. Leave me alone. So he's just like, no, my throat hurts. And then he had a fever. So he couldn't go to school, not Monday, because we was out on like a snow day. So we had like an e-learning day. Everybody was home and he was feeling fine. But Tuesday he wasn't feeling good, so he couldn't go to school. Today's Wednesday. He had 101 the first day and his temperature was 102. And I just checked it before I got on here and it's 103. So it's steadily going up. And so my husband is going to take him tomorrow. And so we'll figure out what's going on, to the doctor, that is. And it could just be the flu. It could be strep throat. I don't know. But because his temperature is rising and we can't seem to keep it down and it just be kind of done. And I know we wanted to try to give it at least 24 hours, 72 maybe. 24 hours, 48 hours. And we were going to take him this evening. But my husband was like, I'll just take him first thing in the morning. So he's getting himself together. I just want you all to be safe out there. Make sure you're distancing yourself from people that are sick. If you yourself are sick and have a fever, because that's when you kind of know you're contagious, stay away. I'm doing my best. I'm sanitizing. I think we just used a whole bottle of Lysol. That day my son stayed home. I came home because my husband got off early that day. The house was clean. He just refused. He's like, I got a conference this weekend. I am not getting sick, because he's been missing it the last couple of years. So I'm just doing my best to stay healthy and not get sick. But today I had a headache and I did find myself getting dizzy sitting down. That never happened to me. I literally turned my head and then I turned back around to look at the person in front of me and I got dizzy. And I'm just like, what happened there? So I had to pause for a second because I was like tilting my head. I don't know what that was about. I was kind of all over the place today and it was just a bit much. So stay safe out there, y'all. The weather, the temperatures, all these, and I know you can't really get sick from temperatures or it being cold outside, but yeah, just stay safe, man. But it's that season is what I'm trying to say, of colds, flu, COVID, whatever. So do your best. We got to keep ourselves safe as best as we can. So anyway, that's what's going on with me. Outside of wanting a break that I'm not going to get and planning 2, 3, 4, 5 different things, I'm all right. Okay. Let's get straight into street talk.
Yeah, what's going on? Let me know.
So I watched the Grammys, and I don't know if you all watched the Grammys, but I watched it for a couple of reasons. I was watching because, number one, the Grammys is one of those feel-good shows. You know, people are getting awards. It's entertainment. You're seeing performances. I also like seeing people I don't normally see, kind of keeping up with pop culture and seeing who those people are. And I watched it, but I really wanted to see if a D'Angelo tribute. I was interested in seeing how they planned that tribute, like what artists they were going to use and how it was just going to lay out. I had the feeling, because they said it was, what a lady named Lord. They said Lauryn Hill was the one that was going to be given it. You know, her and D'Angelo had a song together, and she said that they had never performed that song together. I never knew that. So she started, and then she started bringing out these random people. I didn't like it. I felt like it was too medley. And the people that she brought out literally only sung pieces of it. And this is going to sound crazy. It's sometimes hard for me to enjoy live performances because when you're a true musician, they usually like instruments, like live instruments playing. And to me, it takes away from the reason I like the song, because now you're not playing it the way that I hear it on the radio, or I hear it when I'm listening to the album. And then the artists themselves are like remixing the way that they sing it. And yes, it's still the words, but it's not the vibe. I like the song for the exact vibe that I fell in love with it. And when you change the vibe up for me, it throws me off. So that whole medley was just thrown off. And then they would bring the people out and literally they would just sing along with Lauren and the band. And I'm just like, well, I want to hear them actually sing. And so I really got a feeling that Lauren picked the people, because I'm just like, where these people come from? It's not your typical people we see, the ones that come out and do the tribute. So that was a little like, okay. So I was underwhelmed. Let me say that. I was underwhelmed by the performance. But it was really good seeing the people get their Grammys and come up and do their acceptance speeches. I'm always interested. A lot of people took that opportunity to say, fuck ICE. They did a lot of that. It was a lot of that going on. But let me say this. I thought about my own job and what I do. And I know that sometimes we don't do what we do because we're looking for accolades. I always say that, people don't really give you the applause while you're doing it. So I'll just take the congratulations after. You're just going to have to work, and then people congratulate you once they see it. But when you're grinding, you don't get that same cheer. And Drake said it in the song, he doesn't do it for the awards, because the things he does, they don't have awards for that. And I thought about my job, because there's no award for it. So yes, you get Teacher of the Year, you get recognized. And let me tell you something that you guys may not know. If you're in education, you may be familiar, but we are counselors, but, hitting the mic. We are counselors, but in most schools, we float between, they're a counselor, but we're going to put them in the teacher category. So I'll tell you, because education is governed by states. So each state has different rules, regulations, and policy procedures for that state when it comes to education. So I'm in South Carolina. So in South Carolina, they give out supply checks. And so a supply check is for the teachers to buy supplies for their classroom. The little running jokes on IG is like, oh, teachers don't need all of these supplies they ask the kids to bring, and then y'all are using it on the other students. So you get maybe $300. I could be wrong. It might be more. I can't remember, but I think it's $300. So you get $300 and they're supposed to buy supplies for their classroom. So it's really not supplies for kids. I need to get bulletin board paper. And sometimes the school has those things, but maybe they don't. You need to get bins in order to put the homework assignments in. You need to get these little pocket folders for all the kids, and just stuff that you need to make sure that your class runs for the whole year, because you only get that one time at the beginning of the year. So that's it. That's the money you get. So now as a counselor, I get it. I get the teacher supply check, but custodians aren't getting that. Cafeteria workers aren't getting that. Administrators, like assistant principals, they don't get that supply check. So they put us in the same category as teachers. When it comes to Teacher of the Year, for example, we can get nominated for Teacher of the Year because there's no such thing typically in most districts. I'm not saying all, where they have a Counselor of the Year, because it's just way more teachers than it is counselors in the school. Sometimes there's just one counselor in the school. And at a very large school, you may have 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, 8 even. It just depends on the number of students. The American School Counselor Association says that it should be one counselor per 250 students. So for every 250 kids you have, it should be at least one counselor. So if you have a very large school of thousands of kids, then you can see how many counselors will be there. Still way more teachers. So if they're voting for Teacher of the Year, they put counselors in the hat. Well, what we get is from teachers mainly. Well, they're not a teacher, so why their name is on here. But teachers can get nominated for counselors can get nominated for Teacher of the Year and win District Teacher of the Year, even though they're a counselor, because we fall in that category when they're doing that. But nobody votes for us because the teachers are thinking they're not teachers. And we're like, well, what are we working for? And so we have a director that's over all counselors in the district at our district level. And I remember suggesting, how come you don't just do a Counselor of the Year? And she said that she had proposed that to our district and they didn't sign off on it to say that she can do that. But I feel like we won't ever get rewarded. And there are some counselors in our district who have been their school's Teacher of the Year. And those are more progressive, people who kind of get it and understand. because they do have a staff of the year as well, but we don't qualify as staff. Staff is non-certified individuals, and we're certified. So the only thing that we could go under, we can't go under the assistant principals of the year or principal of the year. So that's the only thing we fall on. So it's kind of unfortunate. We get our love from the students. It's National School Counseling Week this week. So if you have a student, if you have a child who's in school, make sure that they show extra love to their counselor this week. Now, it's not counselor appreciation. That's another thing we get mixed up, where they just give gifts for the counselor. It's School Counseling Week, which means we are supposed to, as school counselors, highlight what we do as counselors and what the department is and what we represent and how we, this every year is a theme. So it's like amplifying, it's amplify. So we're amplifying students with social emotionally. We are amplifying college and career readiness and blah, blah, blah. So each day of the week or day that whatever we're doing represents, we're doing an activity aligned with that. So long and short, I went on a rant to say, seeing your peers and the people that you do the job with acknowledge you for doing a great job is just wonderful. And I just, again, like I told y'all, my new thing is just trying to enjoy and be a part of positive things. And so to me, the Grammys represented something positive. And so if you see somebody doing a good job and you know that it may go unnoticed, say something and be like, you're doing a really good job. I'm proud of you. I do that to the kids all the time. Some who may have been going, I'm like, okay, I see you. You're doing better. You've stepped up. I'm super proud of you. You've been doing what you're supposed to do. Sometimes they need to hear that because I don't want them to think it goes unnoticed and that people don't see the shift. And even though you think, I don't need a pat on the back for the things I do, sometimes it just feels good to know that somebody sees you. And now in that vein, right, while we're talking about that, I'm going to shift just a little bit. I'm going to tell y'all a little story without telling y'all a story because I really can't talk churn business. But I had an incident today that really shed some light on just people, parents, students. It was a parent, child, and they came in because they needed to speak with a teacher that the child is close with to discuss some issues that they've been having in the home. And the teacher just couldn't get to the parent because they had a class at the moment. So I was kind of that mediator in the meantime until the teacher could get in because that's who the parent really wanted to speak with. But the conversation happened with me prior. And I'm just trying to convey to the parent that I feel hurt in the child. And I feel like they've been dealing with a lot and of past trauma and things they just can't get over. But as I'm saying that, as well as the teacher, I can tell that the parent was just like, woe is me. Well, I hear you, but this is what that child does to me. This is what's going on with me. And I just realized that we can understand and relate to when somebody is doing something that we deem is like, you need to get it together. You're doing something extreme. You need help. I can recognize when somebody is in emotional stress or trauma and they're dealing with a lot, or they're crazy, or they're trifling, or you can recognize that. But we have the damnedest time looking at the man in the mirror. No one really can take a second to just be like, I recognize that in other people, but I don't recognize that in me. And so the two of them were really doing the same thing, the parent and the child. They were both like, this is my experience, and not kind of relating and understanding the other person's experience. And they were doing the exact same thing. And so they definitely wasn't going to hear. But I always say hurt people can't hear anyway. When you're hurt, you just want your feelings validated. And when your feelings aren't validated, then you're not going to respond to anything else. And that's what the child was doing. And we were going in circles. I just kept thinking to myself, and I see why people go to therapy. I always tell y'all this, because I promise you, the therapist sees both sides of the story, and they hear and see what you don't. And when I recognize that, as when me and the teacher kept seeing the child is hurt, the child needs a little bit more attention in this area, they're feeling that, then the parent felt as though we were picking a side. And then the parent was interrupting to just be like, well, as the parent, I feel. So I had to say, okay, let's stop. And I said this out loud. I see that you feel as though we're taking the child's side, and that's not the case. So let's shift. And so at a point I just had to say, well, we're not going to fix this today, which we weren't. And came up with some tangible things that we could do in that moment or the next day and so on and so forth. Made some referrals, suggestions, that sort of thing. But I just brought up the story, not the story because I really didn't tell you much, but to say if you can recognize, if I'm at the job and I can recognize that somebody on the job is not doing their job to the best of their ability and I can see their weaknesses, then we got to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and say, I see my own weaknesses and I see where I can do better. I see where I can do up, and then do those things, because it's really hard for people to empathize with you when they see that there's room for growth on your end. And that's like, nobody can take your advice if you say, I know how to make $1 million, but you don't have $1 million, but you want me to listen to you on how to make $1 million. I'm not listening to you. You don't have $1 million. You're not even close to $1 million. And I know that's a hard thing to do. I know that we love giving other people advice. We love telling other people what they need to do, but we don't want to hear what we need to do. And I feel like you are never going to grow if you can't listen to criticism, if you can't see room for growth, if you can't sit down with yourself and say, I can do better. And maybe because you don't see yourself, you cannot see yourself. I know I'm saying the man in the mirror, but you do know when you look in the mirror, that's not your true self. You're looking at a reflection of yourself. And at the end of the day, yes, somebody can tell you about you because they see a side of you, a version of you that you can't see. And until you're willing to accept that and hear people out when they say you got a flaw, you have a couple of flaws, and it doesn't have to be so defensive, like you don't know me and I don't care what you think about me. You should. And I mean that slightly, and hear me out a little bit. When I say you should care, I mean that you should want to grow. I like for people to tell me what's wrong with me. I know people think that that's a sensitive subject and, oh, she might get mad. I don't want to tell her that. I know I have some ways, but the only way I'm going to work on it, or the only way you don't have to deal with my annoying ass, is if you tell me what it is that I'm annoying you about. You got to tell me what it is. And I'll give you an example. We had a counselor that used to work with us, and my coworkers used to say that I treat him like my do boy. It was always do this, do that. Hey, come here. I need you to do this. Run, do that. Hey, come here. And it was like, why do you always do that? You keep treating him like he's your personal do boy. It's always his nickname. You know, I would always call him by his nickname. I would always be like, hey, and I'm not going to say his name, but I would be like, hey, do this, do that, do this. And I didn't realize I was doing it. I really didn't. But they said I would continuously. So when they told me that, and I didn't take offense to it because, again, they see me, I stopped. Before I called his name, I took a moment and I said, what am I calling him for? Okay, I can just do that myself. And I knew what it was. Unfortunately, I just felt as though, okay, he's right there, easily accessible. He will do it. He's not going to tell me no. And sometimes it was just subconscious. It's just like how we do with our kids. Hey, bring me the remote. Hey, go in the refrigerator, do this. Hey. And no, he wasn't my child. It wasn't a do boy. But he was always so pleasant and just did things for you without you asking. It just became second nature. And he never told me no. So it just became one of those things. But instantly when someone told me, I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? If they say I do that, then it must be the case. So because they told me about it, I was able to monitor and adjust. But had they never told me, I just wouldn't have recognized that it was a bad thing. So I say all that to say, if somebody's telling you something, don't take it with a grain of salt to just be like, they don't know what they're talking about. They hating, somebody coming for me. They want to do this. You can't think like that. You have to be like, it must be something to it. But what is it? Especially if these people have your best interest at heart. If they're not the ones that's coming for you, if they're not the ones that you heard be talking trash about you, if these are your family members and they care about you, then listen. Because you may not like your mom, you may not like your dad, you may not like your sister at the moment. What you do is love them, and you know that at the end of the day y'all gonna have each other's back. So why not listen to what they got to say? But you can't continue to go on and feel like you're not gonna grow emotionally, because you're gonna be this bitter old man or woman, grumpy, and nobody wants to come see you and nobody wants to spend time with you, and nobody could, because you were too stubborn to work on yourself and recognize your flaws and fix them. And sometimes you just might be got asked, especially if you realize like, hey, I don't have a lot of people around me. I don't have a lot of people that entertain me, or they're always saying this about me or whatever. Man, grow emotionally. Just because we're older doesn't mean that we're mature. And just because we feel like we mature, a lot of times that doesn't equate to emotional maturity. Hell, I still got work to do with that. I still get triggered. I still get angry instantly sometimes. I still, my voice will still crack when I'm passionate about something and upset because people don't understand me. That gets me probably the most upset when I feel like, all right, well, y'all ain't listening. And I'm tired of saying the same thing over and over. I get very emotional about it. And it's not like, oh, I'm just such a crybaby. It's frustrating. So I cry when I'm frustrated. And sometimes I cry when I'm super angry. But believe it or not, when I'm pissed, I don't. I know you're thinking like, ain't pissed and angry the same thing? No. If I'm pissed, like, okay, you pissing me to fuck off. Excuse my language. You probably ain't gonna get much tears from me. But if I'm angry, frustrated, angry, then yeah, I'm probably gonna voice get shaky, cry, because oh my God, it's too much. It's too much. Okay. That's when I can't really manage. So if the parent had just taken a moment to self-reflect, to look in the mirror and say, could I do better? Because after the parent left, I was able to talk to the student and they just shared more things about the situation at home, how they witnessed the same behavior with some of the other siblings. So it's kind of been a pattern. And if you got more than one person telling you about yourself, then it definitely is true. If more than one person tells you the exact same thing, and I've said this before, I absolutely hate the phrase. A couple of things I hate. I hate when people say they're spoiled. Oh my God, that just irks me. I'm spoiled. How old are we? 2? You know what I'm saying? Just to be like, my man spoiled me. My mama got me spoiled. I'm sorry if I'm spoiled person. I just think that is just so immature. I mean, let's find another word. Just be like, my man treats me well. Anything I need or ask for, he makes sure that I get it. But the word spoiled, it's cringy. It gives off like, ugh, I don't know. It's just, and it's just a me word. I also hate the P word, but that's another story. So I don't like that. I also hate when people say, that's just who I am. I'm not changing. I'm not going to change who I am. That's just who I am. They know me. They know who I am. Oh my God. Just because they know who you are, just because they know how you behave, that mean it's right. Doesn't mean that it shouldn't change or needs to change. You got to learn to work on yourself and stop using it as an excuse of that's just who I am. Again, not right, not wrong, and whether or not you feel like you need to change or not. If the people around you don't want to be around you, always trying to cover for you, make excuses for your bad behavior so that they don't look bad, so that they don't get secondhand embarrassment, then you got to change some things about you, man. I'm just not beyond growth, and you shouldn't be beyond growth either. We all could stand to learn something from one another. Yeah. Because we just don't know everything, and we got to be open for criticism. We can't be defensive. You got to be willing to grow. You got to be willing to do something different. And at the end of the day, the only way in order for you to change is that you practice, you stop, you pause, you recognize what you're doing, especially if people say it's this thing. You always, before that thing happens, before you do that thing you always do, you got to stop for a second and be like, okay, how can I do this different? Maybe I shouldn't say anything. I am a person who feels as though I got to get everything off my chest, because if I don't get it off my chest, it's going to bother me. So whatever I want to say to you, however I want to say it, I need to say it. And if I don't get it out, I got to panic. I'm a panic. But I've heard a lot of people in that, just saying what I feel like I need to say, getting it off my chest. And so I've learned, and I think I've said this to you all, if I'm not adding anything to the situation that's going to help it, then I need to shut up. If something is going to change by me mentioning this, then maybe I should mention it. If I'm not going to change anything by saying what I'm going to say, if it's going to make people uncomfortable and it's going to make the situation worse, then why am I mentioning it? Just for my own pride, for me to feel better because I got it off my chest? If it ain't worth it, then let it go. And so I have to figure that out. Or if you really need to say it, sleep on it. And then if you feel like the next day the same way that you need to say it, but now you're not so upset about it. Now it's not so much tension, and it probably won't come out as bad. So that's my strategy for my ick or thing, whatever the hell you want to call it. I gotta pause, but I challenge you all to do that. Just take a step in the mirror and be like, how can I improve myself? How can I be a better human? I always say that to make the world a better place, you got to sweep around your own front door. That's an old gospel song. You want to look it up. I ain't lying. It is. It's an old gospel song. Sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. That's the full full lyric to that, but it just means take care of your first things first. Take care of your home first. Do the inside work on yourself before you start asking other people to do work and clean up things about them. You know, we're so easy to be like, so and so need to fix her hair different. She don't need to come out the house like that. Why she always wear this? She need to do that. Why she let her kids do this and that? Why he be putting up with that girl? Because I wouldn't. But then there are things that we deal with and put up with, and how we dress and do so and so, and we don't want anybody to check us on that. So we're not in a place to tell other people things if we're not willing to hear other things. So if you want to be that person that's going to give advice and say what somebody need to not do, then you got to be open and willing to accept whatever criticism, suggestions, comments come towards you. But more importantly, you can do it for yourself. You know that shit you need to work on. I don't know why we play this game, especially if you're over 30. If you at least 30 or up, let's not play this game. You already know what things you need to work on, and you need to stop using the thing of it's just who I am. It's just who I am. And then understand how you affect other people and how other people see you, and that their perception is reality. You don't get to tell people how to experience you. How they experience you is who you are to them. And that's what they're going to say. When somebody runs into them, they're just going to, and they ask about you, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't really rock with her like that. Or I don't really rock with him like that. She nasty, she this. And you might be like, but I'm a nice person. Not every time you come around this person, you ain't nice. And maybe every time you come around them, it's because of a bad thing. And that's all they hear or see from you is this anger. But that's still that person's perspective. And that's still how they perceive you. You get what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So it's their reality. It's their truth. And you don't get to tell them that. So I'm not going to belabor the point. But I will plug my pitch again. Remember, the Frank line is open. We're doing the Factuality Fix. So my line is open from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My phone number is country code 1, area code 803-997-0846. Again, that's 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Country code 1, area code 803-997-0846. I'm taking all calls, whether you have a situation you want me to address, give advice on, whether you want to bring up a specific topic and just chat about it. Even if you want to send me a text message of the situation, because you can send a message now. Don't think you got to call. I will read your situation over the air. That's another thing. Send the thing over the air. Okay. If you feel like I don't want to talk about it, let's just talk about it. You don't have to be you and your voice. If you want to DM me the situation, DM it to me. If you want to say, hey, I want you to talk about this, send it to me in the text. I take text. Okay. I ain't even got to say your name. All right. So that's my time, y'all. And until next week, I'll holla. Bye.
Star Beats.